Today's devotion, becoming a patient person. In difficult situations, ask God to guard your thoughts, emotions, and words. Acts 25, 1 through 16. Festus then, having arrived in the province, 3 days later went up to Jerusalem from Caesarea. And the chief priest and the leading men of the Jews brought charges against Paul, and they were urging him, requesting a concession against Paul, that he might have him brought to Jerusalem, at the same time setting an ambush to kill him on the way. Festus then answered that Paul was being kept in custody at Caesarea, and that he himself was about to leave shortly. Therefore, he said, let the influential men among you go there with me, and if there is anything wrong about the man, let them persecute him. After he had spent not more than 8 or 10 days among them, he went down to Caesarea, and on the next day he took his seat on the tribunal and ordered Paul to be brought. After Paul arrived, the Jews who had come down from Jerusalem stood around him, bringing many and serious charges against him, which they could not prove. While Paul said in his own defense, I have committed no offense either against the law of the Jews or against the temple or against Caesar. But Festus, wishing to do the Jews a favor, answered Paul and said, are you willing to go up to Jerusalem and stand trial before me on these charges? But Paul said, I'm standing before Caesar's tribunal where I ought to be tried. I have done no wrong to the Jews, as you also very well know. If then I am a wrongdoer and have committed anything worthy of death, I do not refuse to die. But if none of these things is true, of which these men accuse me, no one can hand me over to them. I appeal to Caesar's. Then when Festus had conferred with his council, he answered, you have appealed to Caesar. To Caesar you shall go. Now, when several days had elapsed, King Agrippa and Bernice arrived at Caesarea and paid their respects to Festus. While they were spending many days there, Festus laid Paul's case before the king, saying, there's a man who was left as a prisoner by Felix. And when I was at Jerusalem, the chief priests and the elders of the Jews brought charges against him, asking for a sentence of condemnation against him. I answered them that it's not the custom of the Romans to hand over any man before the accused meets his accusers face to face and has an opportunity to make his defense against the charges. Proverbs 15 through 18. A hot-tempered man stirs up strife, but the slow to anger calms a dispute. The devotion. Paul demonstrates the power of patience when he was brought to trial before Festus. Instead of letting the accuser's false claims interfere with his calm demeanor, the apostle patiently went through the legal process while remaining faithful to the Lord. Likewise, it's important for all of us to seek God during hard situations, and even more urgent if we might naturally be inclined towards haste. We can ask Him to take charge of our thoughts. It is essential that we shift our attention away from the circumstance and onto the Lord. His Spirit will help us gain the right perspective. Second, emotions. When the Holy Spirit oversees our feelings and reactions, we will find ourselves become calmer and able to respond in a godly manner. Third, speech. Praying for self-control over our tongue is an important part of being a good witness in times of stress and hostility. The Holy Spirit will answer our prayers and provide what we need, just as He did for Paul. Despite the injustice of the situations the apostle faced, he was not provoked. Imagine what God will do through you as you grow in the virtue of patience. You know, as I'm going through these trials and tribulations right now in my life, it's interesting to see how my days are coming together, and my priorities are changing, and what I'm looking for. I won't say what I'm looking for, but what's coming to me through prayer and how things are changing. Like, oh, I need to change to think about this or make this a priority. I think I got so wrapped up into, I need to make money. I just want to do DoorDash all the time and things like that. Whenever, that ended up being one of my problems, is sitting in the car too often or whatever, and not doing family time. It's patience. And I really believe it's just like the other devotions told us, God puts these hurdles in our life to maybe redirect us or to have us refocus on something else. And I really feel like these last couple of weeks, that's what's happened to me, is God's given me these hurdles that I'm slowly getting through. But it has changed my focus. It has changed my priorities. It has changed my way of thinking. And I think that's a good thing. We'll see what happens. We'll see what tomorrow brings, as they say. So as you face different things, be patient, listen, and be open to whatever God's putting on your heart. That's been my lesson the last couple of weeks. So we'll see. All right. Have a great Wednesday. Hope everybody gets their goals met and whatever you want happens. Have a great day. God bless you.